Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Today, finally, I'm going to show the Christmas present I got off my mother-in-law, sister-in-law. I was looking for, as I said, I've mentioned it a few times. I've got obviously the 1 in 700 Bismarck, which you've seen in the thumbnail title, whatever. I got this mainly because I didn't get it because it's the Bismarck. Bismarck is a favourite of people's, and I would have built. But I've actually I've had a book since the 1990s on a sister ship, the Tirpitz, and I would have built the Tirpitz, to be honest with you, just because I've known her for so long in my books. But also, obviously, I've got books on Bismarck, Battle of Denmark Strait, and whatever, and Scharnhorst, Eisenhower. Obviously Graf Spee down at the River Plate, you know, and it's I'd plans to not only build a fair few of these in 1 in 700 that I've just mentioned, but obviously Royal Navy, Italian Navy, and obviously in the Pacific as well, which I am actually doing with the USS Lexington at the moment. But I was just, I put in, I think it was on eBay or just on general search, I put 1 in 700 aftermarket, you know, stuff and sets, and this one from Hunter turned up for the Bismarck, and it was such a good price. I thought, right, now I've got to find a Bismarck. I didn't buy it straight away. I thought I was going to see what I can dig around, find a Bismarck. As we all know, to me, Flyhawk lead the way in just about all 1 in 700 ships for me. I think they're absolutely brilliant. No, I haven't actually built one, but that what I've seen of you know, different, not just on YouTube, but looking at the different like model ship forum and stuff, that really is good. But I managed to find this Trumpeter Bismarck for £20, but I had to pay the delivery as well, so we'll say 25. And the Hunter deck, all the stuff I've got in the Hunter photo etch set, whatever you want to call it, upgrade set, was 25 quid free delivery. Got that one direct from China. So that, if one had come up with HMS Hood, my two favourite capital British warships are actually the Warspite and the Malaya. I just like the longevity of both ships and where they fought and all the rest of it. But no, Queen Elizabeth class, I'm just I do really like those. But yeah, it would have, so whatever had come up, I'd have got to build, and some of the modern stuff as well. You know what I'm like. I like my modern ships as well. So that was my Christmas present. Lot of talking over nothing, Gav. This isn't going to be built for a while. I'm still toiling away. Well, so toiling is the wrong word, because I'm actually loving building the Lexington. It's just I'm having to paint a lot of figures at the moment to try and pay bills, which is why you're seeing a bit more figure related stuff rather than any more modelling stuff and been going up lately. It's just having to pay bills. And I hadn't touched Lexington for about 3 weeks, and it was really, you know, it's like tapping at the back of your head, you know, because I completely stuffed up. As I said to you, put in originally I hadn't stuck the flight deck down, but I was about to stuck the flight deck down, well, test fit it I should say, and realised something had gone terribly wrong. So I'd got a modern ski ramp for say the old Invincible class British light cruise, well, through deck cruiser, small aircraft carriers, whatever you want to call them, had, you know, that was Falklands era and upwards. Confusing everybody. They have a like flight deck to help the Harriers get up, yeah, whatever. But yeah, it had one of those. The entire flight that was going up. And as I say, because I've got obviously the PTSD and the other mental health stuff, I find following instructions really hard. So you might think, Gav, what are you doing with all the photo etch and everything? Well, you know, I'm not a big fan of model ships, unless they've got railings on them and all the, I don't think you have to kid yourself that they always need every bit of I'm not 100. I'm on wooden decks. Now I've got a wooden deck for this one. It just came with a kit. I probably would have had a wooden deck for this one. The Trumpeter plastic moulded decks, they're not, I'll say they're not always so good. I mean, I'm not putting a wooden deck on the Lexington because I think the moulded one's fine. But I would have thought, when I was looking at the hood and the others from Flyhawk, I would have thought, when I've seen them in reviews, I would have think, do I really need a wooden deck on the Flyhawk kits? Probably not, because they are really well. Everything is so detailed on Flyhawk stuff. Anyway, we're not talking Flyhawk, are we? We're talking Trumpeter, and this isn't swinging at Trumpeter. The Lexington, there's some differences that I can't see on this Lexington. So I'll keep doing this because she's over there under a dust sheet. I've got a book on the Lexington. It's not one of the greatest books, but at least I get enough to see hull plating and all this. And there are certain things on there that don't look massively right, but it's good enough for me, if that makes sense. I know she's a Lexington. What I've done to her on the Lexington, I've carved. Oh, you don't get any plate joints, obviously, in that. Carved plate, the whole plates out on that. Again, no way would they match up to what's been seen. The degaussing band that I've had in photo etch, I made because I'm super gluing that, and I didn't have any of that. You know, the super glue that you can get a few seconds. I'll definitely be getting some for the Bismarck, but I need some of that flexible super glue because what I'm doing is putting it down and it's literally going off, and with hardly any chance of me moving it. And I'm looking at it just about under the sheet, and I can see that decal. It's not brilliant. Never mind. Right. Let's go and have a look at this Lexington. I've got the overhead stand here, so we'll have a decent look at her. No, we're not looking at the Lexington, Gav. We're looking at the Bismarck. It's written on the side here, and this is as she was in 1941. Which, to be honest with you, let's face it, didn't have much farther to go one way or the other. This was how she was, is it on Operation Rhine? Anyway, let's go and take a look. Right, guys. Before we start, no, this isn't the kit. Obviously. This is the Osprey Publishing, and I didn't realise Osprey did these. I didn't realise they were the publishers. But Anatomy of the Ship, Battleship Bismarck. A lot of you guys that are into ships already know it. A lot of you that aren't into ships don't. This was given to me by a good marrow of the channel, Paul from the Plastic Monkey channel. He said, was I going up to Telford this year? I said, yes. He says, I've got something for you. Now, I was a bit sceptical. Because there was a slight problem before. I think he was doing something with the Women's Institute down in Devon, and he said that to them, and there was a lot of misunderstandings. But anyway, he actually produced this. And Paul, I've said it before, I can't thank you enough, Mara. I often flick this open, even though I'm nowhere near building the Bismarck. It's just such a fantastic book. I'm going to show you a couple of bits on the inside. I'd just like to say I'm doing that purely as a sales point of view. No, I've not got no sale, I'm no connections to the author. I've got no connections to Osprey, but to encourage you to go out and buy it because it's a fantastic book. You could ask Paul if he's got any more, but I doubt it. That's a type of artwork, it's like digital art type of thing. You can see how, if you're not into ships, you see how it works with the camouflage. It looks like it's a lot shorter ship than it is. Sometimes it also, with that fake bow wave from 25 miles away, you could say the ship's going faster than it is. It's all obviously to confuse the enemy range finding, and even if they can say what actually ship it is. So the author is Stefan Draminsky. Hope I've not butchered that. This is the That's the ISBN number should you wish to purchase it yourself. This is the type of thing you'll get inside it. What do you call them? Drawn plans, for any word of a better word, 3D. And I'm one of these, I like to understand what I'm doing. You know, if I'm building a tank, I don't say I always go out and buy a book on the particular tank, but sometimes I will, because I like to know what I'm building. The same with the Lexington. I got the one book on that because I couldn't afford at the time anything else. But it's good enough to see me through. I get to understand bits of the Lexington. But these books, I presume they've done others. I'm just going to open it up at random. Right, so here we have Admiral's Bridge Level, planned from May 1941. Again, and it gives you all the different what these areas are, and I think that's brilliant because as you're building your model, you know what that position is. You know, you can picture people operating in that particular area. Do you understand me? Let's just give you one. I'm only going to open it once I say I don't want to break too much copyright, but at the same time, I want to show you what you're getting for your money. And there you go. We've got the high-angle anti-aircraft guns there, which gives. There we are, 10.5 centimetre and the 3.7s. I knew they were the 3.7s. But yeah, these are all anti-aircraft guns. You can see we've got Paravane here. That's for sweeping for mines. She was a blooming big mine-sweeper. But yeah, and then you've got the breakdown on this side. There you go, on superstructure, and it tells you all the compartments. The watertight doors are all in there. So once again, I'll leave a link to Paul's channel. Not that you really need to. He's well known, but that's Paul at Plastic Monkey. Thank you very much, Paul. Didn't want anything for it. Didn't. All I can give him is thanks and another shout out. So thanks, Paul. When I get round to doing the Bismarck, that's going to be no end of help because I want to describe what I'm looking at. What we are looking at. Probably be a big glue bomb, but never mind. Right, so outside packaging, fairly standard. They do some decent artwork. Does Trumpeter. We've got her in with a stripe. She went through 2 or 3 schemes, I believe. But you can see how effective it can be, with that white stripe up there. And the black, it almost disappears with that white background. So there is there's discussion on did she sail with at the time of at least the time of her sinking was the turrets yellow on top and along the top of the barrels themselves. You've got an overhead view. If you've ever seen the Bismarck at the bottom of the Atlantic, her swastikas are still visible, still painted. The wood deck is still preserved down there. Amazing. The main guns are gone. These guns always sit on big bearings. As far as I should have known, I've looked at that book enough times, but I knew it beforehand. But these and the secondary armament 5-inch guns, they sit on bearings. Well, so do the anti-aircraft guns, I believe, but obviously they're locked into position. So obviously when the ship turns over or whatever, these all fall off because they're literally just held in by the weight of the guns, I believe. Yeah, and that's it for that. Right, guys, we've got our usual waterline hull. We have our full hull. Not sure which I'll do yet. The Lexington, I want to put Lexington and HMS Kent as my 1 in 350 modern British frigate. I want to put them both in the water, so it'll be a test. If I can do it halfway decent, I'll probably put Bismarck in the water as well. I prefer seeing him in the water than sat on a stand. we've got the hull, and there's already pre-made pieces on. I'm looking at their wooden deck, and I'm going to go for the obviously the wooden deck that I've got with the kit. I mean, I've got it, I might as well use it, so that's going to be frightening. There's some scuff marks where it's been in the machine. It looks like there's machine oil or something on it, grease, so that definitely needs a damn good scrubbing. We've got checker plate. You could argue that checker plate's out of scale, but they're showing you what's there, so I've got no problems with that. And then we've got the barbettes, obviously these are the barbettes for, I'm not sure if it goes, because they've got Anton, Bruno, Caesar and Dora. I think it goes that way. I'm not sure if it's Anton, Bruno. I think Anton's the top one though. ABCD gun turrets, in other words. Right, let's move back a bit. Got more deck, more barbettes. Now I don't know at the moment what and I'm not going to get the. I'll show you the Hunter photo etch without actually getting anything out of it. But there's a heck of a lot in there, so it'll be interesting to see what replaces what when we come actually down to it. Looks like we've got range finders. Come on, Gav. Armoured rangefinder, I believe, up there. Again, it's quite big on the checker plating, but we'll see what we've got to use. We've got radio masts. The only thing I don't believe I've got with that Hunter is an anchor chain, and I haven't got secondary barrels either. For that, I'm going to have a look at secondary barrels for the secondary armament. I don't think you can get brass barrels for the anti-aircraft armament. The problem is if it's in photo etch. I've had this with Lexington. I've got 20mm Oerlikons, and they're little flat pieces, and I prefer them with round barrels. But the Trumpeter ones were so out of scale for an 20mm anti-aircraft gun, it was a bit ridiculous. Yeah, we'll see. And they're also asked to, obviously I haven't got deep pockets, so there has to be a time when you say, you know, enough's enough. And also for my skill levels, it depends. You know, you can have all the photo etch in the world, but if you make a complete mess of it, it's a lot of money wasted. Right, we've got that good looking funnel that she's always got. Again, we've got more wood. How much all that's, whether the Hunter kit just has a main deck and you have to put up with it. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't believe that's particularly bad, the wood effect there. I would imagine that they might have that for a larger, you know, one in 350s or one in 200s, but we've got different superstructure with different vents. Again, what I've got, I honestly don't know. Right, we're looking at torpedoes here. Yes, she also carried torpedoes, which was a thing on the German battleships. I mean, some people are calling Scharnhorst a battleship now, and some aren't. But whether you call her a battle cruiser, a heavy cruiser, because she had 11-inch guns, she carried torpedoes, I believe, as well. No, definitely Graf Spee did. Although she was more going to be used for surface raiding against merchant ships, so I suppose carrying torpedoes probably would have been a handy. We've got ship's boats, like they are on the Lexington, in a couple of pieces. We've got the propellers, more armoured rangefinders. Well, we've got our little Arado float plane. Obviously you had a version of 2 or 3 props by the look of it. More ship's boats. More to the armoured rangefinders. I'd imagine these are the 30mm anti-aircraft guns. They did try and beef her anti-aircraft complement up before she sailed on that last voyage. Quite nice detail on the main turrets. Anti-aircraft platform on this one. The detail for the gunners to stand on, you know, they'll be gripped there to be able to dig their heels in as they're moving the guns around. Little twin 20, I think these are twin 20s. I might be wrong. Now you get 2 sprues of these, and these are for those 10cm anti-aircraft guns, which these are the barrels for, maybe. Yeah, they are. They're the barrels for the 10cm, and they are like the classic anti-aircraft guns on a German World War II ship. Now we've got 2 lots of sprue there. I'm wondering if the turrets you can have them for different stages of when she was built. The main barrels are here. You know, I mean, they're okay. Looks like they've got a bit of a blast bag. I would imagine that's their rendition of a blast bag. We'll probably potty them out. So, and that's it, guys. That's the actual ship. That's everything. So, in itself, if you wanted to build that with no extra cost and no extra headaches and all the rest of it, it's not a massively hard ship, and you'll still get a decent rendition of the Bismarck. But then if you want to go all in, you get yourself this, or something like it. This is Photo Etch series from Hunter. It all says Bismarck. I'd imagine it would suffice for her sister ship, the Tirpitz. I believe Tirpitz, although being heavier, may have, well, obviously did ship a lot more anti-aircraft weapons on. But I mean, again, we've got our obviously you'd remove the side of your what do we call it, our superstructure, and it's got the, that's a good idea, it's got the railings already attached. I mean, that's really good idea, because, you know, less super glue with me the better, because it tends to get all over the damn place. In fact, they've done that on everything. I think that's really good. I'm dead impressed with that, actually. So that's our first one. I can't, it's not actually built to flip over, so I'll just have to show you as we go. Yeah, we've got, where I said all the non-slip stuff, well, that's produced in this photo etch. My life, we've got some bits and pieces here, guys. All the bases to the different anti-aircraft guns. Lots of these little guys all fold up. I'm getting quite used to these now. These are ship's ladders. I mean, I showed those grills on that one bit of. So I'm having to hold the flat back. Can you see the grills on those? That's brilliant, that is, isn't it? Hey. I love it. I see. I love the detail work in. You know, it was, as everyone says, it's almost a shame to cover photo etch up with paint sometimes. There's so much detail. Again, we've got more, and I've seen those grills in that book. All these grills, yeah, they're really well detailed. Lovely job. We've got some anchor chain in. Whether I use that, I might use that. Or might just get some chain. Not sure yet, but more ship's railings. But that adding the ship's railings where they can to the pre-pressed out superstructure parts, I think is brilliant. That's a real good touch, that is. More ship's railings and some ladders. I'm not sure what I'm looking at there. Crane, is it? Or is it? Might be the crane. Brass gun barrels. Only the main armament though. We've got our instructions. And we've got our wooden deck. That's going to be fun. I'm not looking forward to that. There you go. As I say, 25. Hang on, let's get back. That was £25, I believe. Might have even been. I don't think it was 20. I think it was about £25 with it, including the postage. That could have just been one of them lucky buys of Gav's life. I thought that was well worth it. It was this that got me the Bismarck. I will probably, as I say, when I get to the, I almost took the plunge. I'd seen a Flyhawk from China, a Flyhawk HMS Hood, and it said £15. Or £13. I thought, you are kidding me, I'm in for that. Nearly pressed the button. I thought, well, let's go and see how much a deluxe version would have cost with all this type of stuff in and all that. And because I don't really want to spend any money, but if it was £13, and I'm so glad I triple checked, because what the seller was at, they weren't conning you or anything, but they were using the Flyhawk box. To sell something. They obviously they were selling, you know, photo etch frets for it, more or less, and that's what you were getting. Some I don't know what it was, bollards or something. I'd have been choked if I'd have got that scene. That's when it's too good to be true. It is too good. So a HMS Hood or an HMS Prince of Wales in 1 in 700 from Flyhawk on their deluxe type stuff is around 60 quid, just below, but that's cost 50 quid realistically between this and the kit itself. You know, that's so, and people saying, well, 60 quid for a little 1 in 700 pound 1 in 700 ship. The problem with ships are they're not as popular as aeroplanes and cars and tanks and everything else, so they tend to cost more, and I do think I think you get the best out of these with photo etch. I'm not somebody that agrees with photo etch for the sake of photo etch, you know, but I do believe on ships it really does add to a detail. Now I don't do really. I've got HMS Kent in my drawer that's just waiting for ship's railings now. Well, actually, it's waiting for some decals to be put on and then some ship's railings. But she was 1 in 350 scale, but she's a modern British frigate, so it wasn't as expensive as the battleships and that. And I've always wanted a Type 23, and it doesn't take up a huge amount of room. There's no way I could, even if I had the money, I couldn't run to a 1 in 200 scale, and I'd be pushed for 1 in 350 because I just don't have the room. Whereas these 1 in 700s, I can get away with getting 3 or 4 before I have to chuck them in a bin or try and give them or sell them, you know, whatever. But that's why I go 1 in 700. And just like when I'm painting teeny tiny soldiers, it's great to see that scale, the minutiae of such a small ship. I wouldn't want to go any smaller than 1 in 700. But as long as I'm wearing me magnifiers when I'm actually, you know, doing this PE work, it's not a problem. Painting's probably a problem. I haven't got around that. I mean, Lexington's an aircraft carrier, so she's a fair size in herself. But as I say, tomorrow she's finally, all the guns and boats I've made and all that, it's all getting a primer. The deck will I'll be probably priming the deck separately, then sticking that down. No, sorry, I'm sticking the deck down tonight with the extra bowel pieces that would cause me such a problem before, and then she's getting primed tomorrow. Hopefully, if I don't have any gaps, and we can finally start. I haven't done anything on the superstructure yet, the bridge, the funnel, nothing's been off the sprue yet. So once she's done, once I've got that together and a bit of a primer down, maybe even some base coats, I'll do a video of her at least in that stage, because I actually wanted to. What the problem I had is Trumpeter tell you to build off the ship in modules and then put them on. The problem I had with Kent was they weren't fitting properly always to where Trumpeter wanted you to go, and by then you've got a load of finicky pieces on, and if I'd have built them up from the start I could have probably got a decent fit, if that makes sense. So I want to build the superstructure of Lexington actually on the ship. So yeah, that's just causing a few headaches. As I say, with my head problems, it's trying to work out the best ways of doing things. But the Bismarck will be coming along. You know, I'm not going to do a third ship half built. So once the Lexington is built, and the way things are going, the Lexington will probably be built before HMS Kent finally gets finished. But Lexington, don't forget, has got to go. Also has to have a small water base put on, and I want to find some teeny tiny crew figures to stick on her as well. And I think that I always think the crew figures make the ship look, you know, real, if that's not real, but lived in, if that makes sense, rather than just you know, just I don't know. But anyway, that's it. Bismarck will be coming up as the next build for my ships, just as whenever. So, I always keep going to call her Saratoga. Oh dear, Lexington CV2 is finished, and then we'll get on with the Bismarck. So I'd have thought, the way I'm going at the moment, it'll probably be June, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. As I say, I've just been doing a heck of a lot of soldier painting lately, because it is how I try and bring money into the house. So, and obviously all my little other side projects that happen along the way. The M48 1 in 35 scale, well, it's not 1 in 35, it's 1 in 32 scale tank. I finally made a tarp for her over the weekend. I need to paint that in the next couple of days. I wasn't happy with my mud, that I'd homemade mud, so I'm biting a bullet and going to get some of that Vietnam mud from MIG. I didn't really want to spend the money out, but I think it's going to have to at least be put round in places just to tell the right story. Figures are all done, so she should be getting a reveal in the next week or two, probably 2 weeks, and she'll be done definitely by the I think the group build finishes in February. It's probably finished in January, you never know. Anyway, that'll be done, and as I say, we'll have an update fairly soon in the next week, few days, on how far I've got with the Lexington. So thanks for stopping by and taking a look. Yes, it's gone on and on and on and on, but it's one of Gav's videos, and they always do. So look after yourselves. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks again to Paul for that book. I've mentioned it a million times, but he's a nice fella, and you know, I wish him all the best, because he didn't have to do that at all. Just like so many other good people out there in the community. There's always people just doing things in the background, you know, and a lot of the times people don't hear about it. But, you know, thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Paul. Take care, guys. We'll catch each other very soon, which will be, at last, the Hussars. Yes, the Napoleonic Hussars are based. I'm just going to, before I do anything on Lexington tonight, in the next hour or so, they will be having the last of the toughs on their bases. They need... when I prime Lexington tomorrow, they will get a varnish, the last varnish, because they've already had one coat, so on the second coat of varnish, and you will be seeing the Hussars up next. So look after yourselves, take care, and we'll catch each other soon on another video.